Buongiorno, beautiful people. I was thinking today a little bit about the differences you can make. So a lot of the time we think about and remember like the big differences, like, I don't know, buying a bike or a bit of gym equipment, joining a gym, quitting drinking, stuff like that. Big things that kind of stick out. But actually, when you kind of dig into it, a lot of the time, the things that make the biggest difference are like tiny little things. And I was trying to think about the first time I made a tiny change and it made a colossal difference. And actually, the one I want to talk about was kind of 3 steps down the line. The first thing I did was I deleted Facebook off of my phone. I was using it a fair amount and just mindlessly, and I kind of hated it anyway. And so I just kind of took it off my phone. It took me a few weeks to not automatically look for it, and then that was gone. So then I started thinking a little bit more about other things I could do, and I put all of my kind of work apps in a folder, so there was a little bit of friction between me and that. Same with social media, like Instagram and Threads, or what was Twitter if I ever used that. It's mainly Instagram and YouTube now, but they're in a folder. And then here's the big one. This is the big thing that I did. I can't remember where I heard it from, but somebody said about switching notifications off, how the little red bubble with all the numbers in kind of are that little alert signal that you need to respond to your phone. And actually it should be the other way around. It should be a decision that you make. So what reminded me of this was I was at uni this week and a student grabbed their phone to make an appointment with me. And when they pulled out their phone, they were like, "Oh, I've got a few emails," and it was in the literally in the thousands. And I just had a conversation with him and saying, how does that make you feel when you got that sort of number of emails? And they're like, yeah, like super anxious. All I want to do is go to my inbox and just delete everything. So I sort of explained this to them. So have a look at my notifications. I'll try and figure out how to put it over here on my phone. But basically, I only have these things that will send a notification to my phone. And some of them are like critical notifications only as well. So my calendar. If Bex adds a new date to the calendar that I need to okay, that will pop up as a notification. The Find My stuff. Now, actually, I don't know why that notification's off. That's like, where I can track where the kids are and things like that. I don't know how to set notifications up for that, but seemingly on the list they're on. Critical home alerts, text messages, phone calls. There's a phone app on your phone. Screen time, ironically. Our sort of Wi-Fi smart life thing, critical alerts as well. So if somebody enters the house without me knowing. My bank, so when I make a bank transaction, that comes up. Wallet, same deal. Weather alerts, so critical weather alerts, and YouTube Studio, again, somewhat ironically. Everything else is off. WhatsApp, emails, everything else that most people kind of have these red bubbles on, they are all switched off. The point is that I have to make the decision to go and look for those things, to look for the email, to look at WhatsApp. When somebody sends me a message, they essentially are just going to have to wait for me to respond. And you know what? Guess what? Well, they do. Or they call me if it's super urgent. But basically, Bex and the boys can get hold of me urgently using text or by calling me, and everything else can basically wait. And it's had a massive difference. It's made a massive impact on me. So my question really to you is, what's the smallest change that you've made in any way, shape or form, whether it's food, exercise, mental stuff, whatever it is? I'm genuinely interested what tiny little adaptation, little habit, little change you've made that's had the biggest impact. I'd have to say that has made a huge impact on my kind of phone usage, basically. I'm not being bombarded with these notifications all the time. Anyway, that's my question. That's what I've been thinking about today, all these little changes, and I'd like to know your response to that. There we are. That's the video for today. Just a little thing I wanted to talk about. I don't talk about the physical training a huge amount. One thing I've noticed about the physical training, particularly the gym sessions, the actual core of this, the Fight Club things, are these first efforts of the blocks 3, because it's an ascending pyramid, right? So I do fewer reps with ascending weight. So it's pretty much 25, 15, 8. In terms of reps, and then it comes down, doesn't it? 25, 15, 8, and then it goes up in weight. And I finally got around to kind of knowing what all those weights are in the gym. And I tell you what, those clearing efforts, I think of them as clearing efforts like in an FTP, where you do a warm-up that takes you up to threshold. And the idea of that is to kind of clear the system, give you a clear baseline to work off of. And those 25 reps they're murder. They're brutal. I thought they were going to be relatively easy, but by the time I get to the end of the 8 reps of the heavier weights, it feels like the end of the 25 reps of the first part of the set. Anyway, that's my observation. I've never done it like this before. I've only ever done 8 to 12 reps of the same weight. And it's a challenge, and trying to keep track of it all in the notebook and what the weights are and all this kind of stuff. Every single day has got, you know, this listed out, and underneath that are the ideas of the things that have popped into my head. So you can see all the notifications that I've just mentioned written down the list there. So this is the kind of Bible at the minute. Probably be a bit lost without this. Anyway, that's it. Have a great weekend. Part run tomorrow, and then core workout, and then that's that done. And then looking forward to my long run. I'm going to get out and do an even bigger loop on the trails. Have a good weekend. Happy Halloween, those of you that are ghosts and ghouls. Easy.